Well, hello and welcome to episode 283 of Drink the Movies. I'm Brian here, as always, with Michaela. And Michaela, we don't very often talk about experimental films, and by often, I mean we don't ever talk about them unless one happens to slip into like the short feature category for the Oscars. We might get a mention out there very briefly, but we're going to be talking about one in full today, which is going to be tricky because this is an experimental thing. Michaela, are you excited to talk about Timecode today? Timecode, everyone. Timecode.
Timecode. And if you've never heard of this movie, that's fine. You should though. You should have heard about it because apparently, if you were in film school or you were watching a bunch of art films in the year 2000, it was big. And I remember
That
this
is that
because
is that is well, we're going to talk about that. So,
okay, well, um, I don't know. I remember watching this for the first time in the theater because it was recommended by a guy who was in film school that I worked with at Starbucks a million years ago.
mm,
And he was like,
mhm.
Michaela, it's real weird, but it's shot really interestingly. And we are going to talk about all the things kind of experimental films because yeah, it's important to do. But I had not seen it since then. So, we're really what this episode's going to be about is me telling Brian to go watch a movie, having him watch it and think that it's absolutely terrible and tell me all the reasons why I don't remember it being great, or I shouldn't remember it being great. So, I have a cocktail for that because I'm going to need another drink. This seems to happen at least once or twice a year here on Drink the Movies. We'll be right back with a cocktail.
A drink is in order. And spoiler for anyone working at a Starbucks out there right now, if a young film school student comes and suggests a movie to you, he eats a morning. He eats a morning. There you go. We'll be right back with the cocktail.
So, Brian, I decided to try and make a cocktail that would pay homage to some of the themes in this film. And one of the things that is probably the most important thing about this movie is the way it is filmed. And it is basically four screens in
Mhm.
one, right? So you've got four different blocks of action happening. And that's probably the most interesting thing about this film. I spoiler warning for anybody who wants to listen to this whole episode. But so I wanted to create something that was basically the same drink, but then had different edges to it. So I created what we call the fourth wall, which really for us is like the fifth wall because we're watching four. And then, there's us on the other side of the screen. So what you're going to need is a shaker tin. You're going to need some ice in it. Put 1.5 ounces of vodka, 1/2 ounce of Cointreau, 3/4 of an ounce of white cranberry juice, 1/2 ounce of fresh lime, and 1/4 ounce of simple syrup. You're going to add 2 dashes of orange bitters to that. You're going to shake it up and you're going to put it into a really lovely cold coupe glass. Now, the secret here is going to be in the garnishes that you want to use.
Yeah, that's right. You can garnish it up a couple of different ways. We used a few different things. We used dehydrated blood orange. We used dehydrated lemon. We used, I believe, some blackberries in one, and we used orange rind in another. Which the orange is kind of the classic one here because what this is more or less is like a white cosmopolitan. There we're swapping out the traditional, very very tannic tart cranberry juice for the white cranberry juice, which is much softer, a little bit sweeter on the palate. So really, the orange is kind of the key one, but really all of those garnishes, really kind of set this off and created this beautiful drink. This drink was fantastic. I liked it a lot. I'm a pretty casual fan of a cosmopolitan. It's not something that I ever order, but if one is presented to me, I'm always like not disappointed that I drank it because usually they're pretty good. But this one was excellent. I love the white cranberry juice. I love the way the Cointreau kind of married with that. I liked the addition of the orange bitters, which is not something you typically see necessarily in a cosmopolitan. It just gave it a little bit more structure to it. So
Mm.
yeah, this was really good. The fourth wall. Knowing nothing about time code, all I had to go off of was this cocktail. I'm like, I'm in for a good time. Let's do it.
And this is the most positive part of this entire podcast because now we're going to talk about the film. So let's do this.
Cue
Let's
the
do this.
saxophone. Let's do it. Let's
Gosh. Oh yeah. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, that was
let's
that was amazing. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna make another one of these because I need one to talk about this film
yeah.
because I sort of put it on the calendar not knowing how how it was. Yeah, so we're gonna take a quick break, and when we come back, we're gonna talk about all things Time Code, the movie that you probably have never seen. But you
Time
should
code.
drink the cocktail because it's good.
Have the cocktail. Listen to us talk about time code. It'll be good. It'll be good. I promise. We'll be right back.
Spoiler warning for a movie that no one saw called Timecode from 2000. If you've not seen this movie, that's totally fine. Just, you don't even really need to. We're going to talk about it, and you might not need to watch it at all. You can't find it except to rent. It's like $4. It's
$4.
got
Yep.
some. It's got a
That's
young
$1.
Salma Hayek in
$1 per
it.
screen. Yeah.
$1 per screen. It's a bargain. Stellan Skarsgård's in this. I mean, it's not. Yeah, watch it if you like, but watch it at your own risk. We're going to talk about all the things. There's kind of some big stuff that happens at the end, maybe questionably. I don't know, but we're going to talk about all the things. You've been warned. Drink the cocktail, though. The cocktail's way better than this film. I'm saying it now. Sorry. Okay.
That's right. Yeah. So it is May of the year 2000. Put yourselves in the shoes of Michaela, some artsy film school student comes in and wants to wow you with this very obscure film that is directed by Mike Figgis. Mike Figgis is a notable director in the fact that some gold was struck with Leaving Las Vegas, partially because that script was really good, and more so because Nicolas Cage was so damn good in it. But Mike Figgis gets some notoriety there, but mostly has done like these avant-garde kind of experimental type of things. That's pretty much it, other than Leaving Las Vegas. I think he directed like an episode of The Sopranos too, I think. So there. This movie has a lot of people in it, which is going to account for the budget, I'm assuming. But most notably here are Salma Hayek, Jean Triplehorn, and Stellan Skarsgård. There's a bunch of people in this. There's a lot of moving parts. I probably couldn't identify any of these people by their like screen name. Truth be told, by the end of the movie. But let's talk about kind of the way that this movie it comes into being, the way that it's structured, and then we'll talk a little bit about your history with it. We'll talk a little bit about that, and then we can just talk about the movie itself here. So Mike Vegas wants to make this kind of experimental thing. Apparently, when he was making Leaving Las Vegas, he'd done it on like some like 16 millimeter like handy cam kind of thing, because it was easy. They like basically just like went out, shot it like guerrilla style. They didn't get any like filming permits, just kind of went. And he's like, I want to do that, but like up the ante. So basically, he's going to get like 4 cameras, and they're just going to roll for, I don't know, 90-ish minutes. And it's all like off the cuff. There wasn't any script. They kind of were given like some sort of like general premise for like what was happening just like in the world that these people were going to be inhabiting, but there wasn't like any script or anything like that. So they ran through some I guess rehearsals and then just let it rip. So it's a 90-minute, no cuts, no edits of these things. And we'll kind of talk about that. It sounds really like if you were in film school, like your senior thesis, be like, I bet I could do this. And that's exactly what most experimental films are like, right? It's just trying to push some boundary, trying to create a movie or a film that's not in like the standard definition of what you would think of being a movie or a film, right? In the way that it's being shot, the way that it's portraying story, right? It's some like off the wall kind of a thing. That's what he wanted to do. So, Michaela, you are told about this. You are living what about like San Antonio ish, I guess, kind of at this time.
Yes.
We
Hmm.
would so it came out in 2000. We weren't even like into college yet by the time that this movie came
Correct.
out, which is maybe part of the reason why I hadn't. But tell me about your experience seeing it back then, 26 years ago. And then we'll talk a little bit about more of the specifics of the film's release and things like that.
Yeah, so San Antonio wasn't known for like independent film houses, right? I mean, so in the state of Texas, Austin was kind of the weird place, but San Antonio was kind of a
Right.
second, maybe a far away second. But there was
I
this
mean, you do have, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you
that's
there,
okay.
but you do have in Austin probably the most famous independent movie theater in the country, probably, right? The Alamo
Yeah.
Draft House, which is now kind of a chain, but I mean it's still, widely considered to be, some
Oh yeah.
a much more like artistic film kind of house. And for those that don't know, San Antonio is what, it's about 2 hours ish from Austin. So you certainly would have heard of that. It's where the University of Texas is, blah blah blah. So
Yeah. And it was kind of, I remember, being a student in finishing high school, it was always a question of where did you want to go? And usually they meant, do you want to go to Texas A&M or do you want to go to the University of Texas? Okay. And I didn't care. I really wanted to do theater at the time. So I really wanted to go to UT. Didn't end up going to UT. I went to the other school. Don't hold it against me. But everybody my age thought Austin was like the coolest place to be because it was weird, it was strange. There were like hippies everywhere, like people were doing a lot of drugs. We thought that it was crazy, and they have a film school there, right? And they're all there was a kid who worked with me. He wasn't a kid. He was probably 5 years older than me, but he was really lovely. Danny, wherever you are, and your beautiful wife, who I introduced you to, I hope you're doing well. But he is talking to me about these films, and one of them was like Hedwig and the Angry Inch, I think, and one of them was this other really strange one, the Prime. And then he talks about this one, and he's like, Michaela, this film is in the independent picture house that is in San Antonio, and there was only one at the time. And he was like, "You need to go. It won't be shown like in a normal time, so you got to like go in the middle of the day because no one's gonna freaking see this film. But it's so good. It's so well. Like the idea of it is so neat." And I was like, "All right, I'm in." And I go and I watch this film, and it has stayed with me. I'm not saying it's a great film at all, but it has stayed with me since then. So when people talk about independent films, this is the film that I think about first. Like this is the thing that I picture in my mind. Now, again, I'm not saying it's a great movie, but I really think the idea of it is pretty amazing, right? And you got to remember, in 2000, this was coming right off the cuff of some of the films that were quote unquote experimental that made a boatload of cash. I'm looking at you, the Blair Witch Project. So I'm thinking that maybe Mike Figgis thought, this is the time. This is the time for me to do some weird stuff. And it might be really amazing. It might tell a really cool story. People might be like shocked and awed. And it turns out they were mostly just like, I don't know, thought it was interesting because it did not make enough money to even cover what it cost. And I can't even
I was gonna say,
imagine how
I don't
they
think
how
that.
they filmed this in actual LA because it must have, I mean, it cost $4 million in 2000, and it was probably just to get the permits to like hold on to the building for a day, like in 90-minute chunks while they were doing it.
Yeah, it costs about $5 million to make here. I don't think that Mike Figgis ever had any sort of uh, delusions that it was going to be some like runaway blockbuster hit. Like he was nominated for Oscars. Nicolas Cage won his Oscar, and that movie only made about $10 million, I think. So I don't think that was the case. I think it was the case that he's like, hey, I was nominated for an Oscar, and Sony Pictures is going to give me $5 million to make this. So of course, and they didn't have anything. I'm assuming most of that budget went to the cast here. I mean, there's some big players. Selma Hayek was probably the most well known of these people. Stellan Skarsgård also had done some stuff. Was this before or after Good Will Hunting? When did that come out? Would have been
It
right
was
around the same
after.
time, I guess. Right
It was
after.
after.
So I mean, so you have a lot of players there. You had a lot of people that had been in other like Mike Figgis type of things. But yeah, this it gets filmed. It's four cameras rolling simultaneously for I think it's 97 minutes is the total runtime here, and most of it, like I said, is off the cuff. There's not really any sort of like script or anything like that. You're just kind of getting the story here as it's coming in. The introduction to the film is neat as kind of the four cameras like start to like click on, like that's pretty interesting. There is like a crazy obnoxious saxophone that that is playing this entire time. So go ahead and mute that. But let's talk a little bit about, and Michaela's waving at me. I'm gonna come back to her for just a second. I've never heard of this. I was in Ohio. I was a pretty big city in Ohio, but like I never heard of this was on max 130 theaters, which I'm assuming at least half of those were probably based between LA and New York. So like the rest of the country is probably about 50 theaters for the rest of the country to get this thing. I never heard of it. No one in any of the film classes I took ever talked about it. Nothing. I never heard this. There was actually a typo on it was Timecode 2 words that Michaela put in our original doc, and I couldn't find it. I was like, I have no idea what movie you're talking about. I was like, please let it be Timecode, but it was not. It was Timecode. Michaela,
It
you were waving me down over there
I
like
was.
frantic. You
It
were
was.
frantic. Okay.
It was just it well, it just occurred to me, okay, that Mike Figgis, right? He directed Leaving Las Vegas. And if you remember, there's a saxophone in Leaving Las Vegas as well, like this dark,
Yeah.
broody, moody, like so that just occurred to me and I got very
Well,
excited because I was like,
Mike
oh,
Figgis
that makes
was a
sense.
musician. Like I didn't see that the saxophone was featured on like his musicians page of the Wikipedia, but apparently loves the saxophone. Yeah, and it's blasting at the beginning of this thing. I was just like, whoa, holy moly! If the The Lost Boys saxophonist probably was doing it. I don't know. He could have been on the movie, would have been better. Truth be told, truth be told. But you have these four screens, right? And they're kind of filming this thing, and I guess kind of like the gist of the story is it's like a day at like this like production meeting for this thing. It's kind of humorous because like the production meeting is taking place at this movie studio, who is the same movie studio that is making the film that you're watching, but like it's like someone like hand drew like the logo on like a piece of like poster board. So I'm like, oh, that's kind of funny. It's kind of like meta in that sense. Also, it's kind of funny that they're having this production meeting about the way the story is going to go, and you're watching a movie that doesn't like have like any story to it. So that's kind of fun. But yeah, I mean, then you're just watching this thing like unfold over these four screens, and it's kind of neat. Like they make the point, I think, when it's starting up that you can like choose your own adventure, kind of, sort of, about like which of these things that you want to watch, which isn't entirely true because there's a lot of times when things are only happening on one. And it also kind of dictates like what you're hearing to a degree, right? Like, because you'll be watching something, but like the sound is very clearly coming from one of these other four things, which is hard to describe, but it's very evident when you're watching it. But then sometimes the audio drops out completely and just the saxophone comes back. And I don't know if that's was like an artistic choice or if it's because like the dialogue was not driving the particular narrative that Mike Figgis was hoping to pull out and was trying to cover that up. I don't really understand why the saxophone was coming in and like obscuring all of the audio like from time to time. I found it mostly off-putting. I'm sure there was some reason for it.
Yeah, I mean, there were a couple of times. Now, you and I both, we did not watch this together. So maybe you watched a different version than I did. I rented mine because, of course, I didn't buy this,
Yep.
believe it or not. But for me, like there were some
The fine
breaks where
folks at Apple got $4 for me.
they did, they did. They're like, thank you for your purchase. There were songs, there were actual songs that kind of came through. And I thought
Mhm.
that was kind of interesting. And again, kind of weirded out by the song choices. And then there's like a big song at the end because part of this production house, okay, so in this studio, it's like an audition movie studio. It's got a screening room, that's important. It's got a receptionist room, that's important. It's got a weird uh, 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 conference room that looks real strange because it's made out of like cubicles with a curtain. So everyone can hear everything. So I don't understand that. But then you've got this group of people who are in the production in the conference room talking about movies, and they're going through different things and talking about actors and problems, and like there's this teen sex movie that everybody's got, syphilis or gonorrhea or some STD, and they're like, we think we might have to shut production down because we don't mind that they're sick. We mind that like they maybe it was uh, herpes or something because they're like we don't have enough makeup and that sort of thing. Meanwhile, there is a couple with that are Selma Hayek and Jean Triplehorn, and Jean Triplehorn's character is incredibly jealous. And at the beginning, you see her like take out the air in her lover's tires, so
Yeah.
that Selma
Red
Hayek,
flag
when
right
she
there.
comes down, yeah, she sees that she can't go anywhere. So she's like, just get in my limo and I'll go take you to your audition. And so Selma Hayek's character is going to audition.
Yep.
Now, what we also find out is Selma Hayek is stepping out on Jean Triplehorn. No wonder she's so like jealous because she probably feels like a crazy person for the last couple of months.
Gotta lock
And
down
Selma
Salma
Hayek
Hayek.
just keeps, well, I mean, it's Selma Hayek.
My
Everyone's gonna want her.
one of my favorite aspects of this is that it's a 90 minutes just freestyling um kind of thing where everyone's doing their own thing, but at the end of the day, like just everyone wanted to hook up with Salma Hayek was
That's
the
pretty much the gist. Yeah, yeah,
was the gist of it
yeah.
there. I thought it was interesting. You have Julian Sands, which is probably why you like this movie anyway, because that's I don't know, some guy you like randomly for some reason, who's playing a Swedish, like a literal like Swedish massage guy, but you literally have someone else in the cast that is Swedish. So I was like, why is Julian Sands playing a Swedish guy when literally you have Stellan Skarsgård, who is a Swedish guy? Couldn't they have like swapped roles? Like, who cares? There isn't even a script. It could be like,
I guarantee.
we need a guy from Sweden. Couldn't Stellan have put his hand up and be like, I could do it.
Yeah, but Stellan Skarsgård gets to hook up with Selma Hayek in the middle of the
Yeah,
movie.
but
That's why he was
it's
like, no, I'm doing
no,
that.
no. It's so awkward and off putting. Ugh, I hated it. It was
Oh, the
terrible.
scene? Oh
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, the
because
scene's
like
terrible.
because for like 10 seconds you're like okay, this is fine, and then like it very clearly, like you can tell just like the body language and like the facial expressions that Stellan Skarsgård and Selma Hayek are after like the first 20 seconds. They both are like, are we supposed to keep going? What we don't, because we don't have any direction on what is supposed to be happening, right? And they both seemed really awkward and uncomfortable with it, and
Yeah, this is not.
therefore I was also very awkward and uncomfortable with it. I was like, this is weird. This is strange. This is weird.
Yeah, not to mention that behind them is basically like B grade like porn behind them. Like it's not actual
Hmm.
porn, but there's like moaning and groaning and because they decide to do this. So spoiler, wait, we should go back. So Selma
No,
Hayek is
no,
sleeping with her
no
with
spoilers.
she has a lover, but she is having an affair with Alex Skarsgård's character Alex, and Alex is the owner of this. He's this big notable director, and he is also meeting with this group of people, these group of producers, because some big artist is coming in and talking about a movie that they want to make. Okay, so um, Selma Hayek's character lies to her lover to say she has an audition, and she really is just going to go hook up with Stellan Skarsgård. The only place to do it is in this screening room, which has a ton of people watching the reels from this other director who's actually trying to make a film, but it's like this B grade porn, and it's just really strange. There's a woman who what's her name? She goes in.
Don't know.
Leslie
No
Mann is
idea.
in this. She I was like,
There's
is
a
that
lot of
Leslie
people in it.
Mann?
There's
It's
$5 million
amazing.
worth of people in this. Is what it is. There was $2,000 worth of cameras and $4,998,000 worth of people in it. Yeah, there's a ton of people in this, and like I said, because there's like there, I guess technically is a story. Like if you went through and like wrote it down, like I guess it is a story, but that's not like the point of it, really. The point is that these four things are going off to that end. And like that part of it is interesting, right? Like it's interesting and like a short film kind of a thing. This would have worked really well as a short film. Um, so like that's interesting. It's kind of interesting the way they pull your attention to different things, and it's really interesting then because occasionally you'll have like bleed over where like two of the camera angles like clash, so you'll see like the same character like through both of these cameras that are not stopping, and like that's interesting. But that's like the most interesting part of it, and like it's hard to like judge an experimental film like to that end because it's not really, like, at least to me, like the definition of an experimental film is not necessarily to be like good or bad necessarily. It's more of just like a proof of concept or like a proof of like your artistic like vision of it, like to that end. So I mean it's totally fine, but like watching this, like you could watch this I think for about 3 minutes and get like as much as you're going to take away from the movie.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know, maybe
No,
not three, but
no, I'm sure like people, like if you're really like interested in like getting into like making film or like the way the films are
mhm.
shot, like there's probably like a little bit more you could glean from it. But like I said, and 3 minutes is unfair, but you could watch this for 10 minutes and glean all the things you needed to from it.
Yeah, I mean, remember when that series Adolescent came out and everybody was shocked because it was really all in one take, right?
Yeah.
Um, that I feel like was also kind of an experimental thing. I kept thinking about watching this the second time. Like I don't really remember. I do remember what I was thinking about the first time. I was thinking about the Selma Hayek, scene. That's what I was probably thinking about. And how just weird it all was. Because I mean, I was real young looking at film, right? Um, and I'd never seen anything like that. But what I thought about this time watching it was how in the world they were able to signal to each other in a way to let them know where the cameras were going to be, where they
Hmm.
are, and where everybody else's place is in the on the set that they're on, right? So like there's a time period where Salma Hayek and Jean Triplehorn's characters, and sorry we don't know their names because they don't say them, but they're in there, they're in a car for a good 7 minutes, and she's reading a paper and she's doing her makeup, and while we're able to watch all the other things happening. And one of the scenes that I thought was super cool was they're waiting to go, and they have to make sure that the camera on the other side of the car is there to
Hmm.
open the door so it's all super seamless. And then the cameras have to go to a different place. So from that perspective, I think that that is actually pretty neat. Um,
Yeah. Well,
again,
I think I'd read that they had done like rehearsal on it like 15 times, or they like
mhm.
the 15th take was the one that they kept and used, something like that. But yeah, pretty much all of the planning was just in like, where are these cameras going to be? You mentioned Adolescence, which is amazing. Because it's a single shot, but it's amazing that it is a single shot because it's so choreographed. Like everything is like down to like, like this like whiskers edge, whereas something like this is more like, all right, well, do whatever you need to do, but then in 3 minutes and 19 seconds you need to be looking this direction, right? Like that was the direction, right? It's like, I don't really care like what your character does, I don't really care like what dialogue you deliver, I don't really care. You could take your character in any direction you want to, right? It's totally like an improv routine. But when we get to 6 minutes and 12 seconds, you need to be like standing at this curb or at this desk, right? So like it's interesting from the structure there. And um like extended shot things, like that's something that like almost predates like film, really, because
Mhm.
films weren't edited at all until they were. And then every film was edited. But I mean, you still get like some longer shots. Like Kubrick has a lot of like
Mhm.
held shots and stuff like that. So like the concept of it itself isn't new, but it was interesting to present it in four simultaneous takes.
Yeah. I mean, and the themes are kind of interesting, right? I mean, obviously there's the blood. I put, there's the idea of sex, the jealousy, because there was a lot of jealousy, right? So Stellan Skarsgård is actually, his name's Alex. He's the only one whose name I actually know.
Mhm.
His wife tells him in the morning, she has a therapy session that's real weird, and then she goes to tell him that she's leaving him. Um, and then she goes and meets Leslie Mann, and they kind of have this weird romantic moment. And then she's coming back and decides that she wants to be with Alex actually, after all. Alex is like trying to sleep with everybody that he possibly can. He tells his would-be wife that he wants to buy a house, and then he tells Selma Hayek that he wants to have a bunch of babies in Italy, and then he sees somebody else. And I mean, there's just he calls oh my gosh, one of the other ladies who's amazing. Holly Hunter is in this, and he
Holly
calls her,
Hunter.
and
Yeah.
he's telling her that he's going to retire, and all these women kind of love this man because of his mystique, and really he's just kind of a jerk. And then he gets his comeuppance. Spoiler warning, because Jean Triplehorn's character is like, you've been sleeping with my wife, my person, my lover. You don't care about her, and I've been listening the whole time. I mean, how gross is that? She has to listen to all
Yeah.
this.
She's listening to the whole thing.
Oh,
I
the
mean,
whole
kudos
thing.
to Gene Triplehorn's agent who got her on the hook for this thing. And then like literally the film itself is like 97 minutes. And I think she's on screen the whole time. I think she's in that thing. So she does do like the whole like 97 minutes where everyone else is kind of moving in and out like off screen. I think don't hold me to that, but no one's gonna really fact check this. So but like for like literally like the first like I don't know, like half hour of the movie, she's just sat in the back seat of that car, like pretending
Yeah.
like she's listening to something.
Well, and the other part of the film is her close up of her, just her reactions listening to what we're listening to, right? Which
Yeah.
is a lot of
And
like
I assume, I
B
don't know if
grade
she was like
porn
really,
and like
I don't know if she was really listening to it or if she was just pretending to be listening to things, because I don't know how they would have like mic'd it for her to like be getting it,
yeah.
because it's all happening simultaneously. So I don't know. So that's interesting. But yeah, kudos, Gene Triplehorn. I hope you had a hell of a payday to do this film.
I hope so. Um, but yeah, she plays a really, I think she's probably one of my, like, not my favorite, but
She's
I
great.
found
Yeah, I mean,
her
she's great.
really,
Yeah.
she does a really great job because she comes in to this production room where they're having that final interview with the woman and her boyfriend. And she's literally like an opera singer, and he's like diggity diggity, love, peace, and harmony, diggity diggity. And
Yeah.
I'm cracking up. I don't know if it was meant to be funny because it feels like a part of this was this, like it
It's
was a
so
very
ridiculous.
avant-garde satire, right? Where it was like, we're
It's
talking
like
about these crazy things. And
it's like if they would have filmed The Office this way, is what it is. Because all these
yeah,
people are like completely ridiculous, because of course they are, because it's this free will and like caricature piece, and none of them have like any sort of like motivation or anything really to be doing anything, so you can do whatever you want. So that's
do
that's
whatever
pretty
you
fun.
want. But I thought that that was, I think that it's an interesting film. I mean, am I probably going to watch it again? Maybe in another 26 years.
Yeah.
Maybe. Um, I will
I
say,
would never watch the whole thing again.
yeah,
If I really was interested in it, like I said, I could, turn it on a couple of minutes, get like the gist of what's happening. And like I said, like the most interesting parts, like the way that it like I said, the way it like ticks on the cameras at the very beginning, like is interesting. Like it's really cool. Like movies used to have like super cool like intros, and now everything is just like this cold open. It's boring, I think. But movies used to have like really rad intros, and I this is one of them, and it's very like 2000s feeling. So that's pretty cool. But then like it gets interesting again then, like I said, when there's like camera bleed, because you'll see like a character like in like two of the shots where the cameras like tend to overlap, and like that's interesting because that like will catch your eye and you're like, oh okay, like they're crossing the beams, more or less. But then you can go back to like not really paying that much attention to it, because anything that you want to see or hear is going to be obscured probably in some way, or there's going to be a saxophone just blasting in your head. So
yeah, I found it did. I was a little panicked when I started to watch this time because I was like, how am I going to pay attention to all four of them? And I think that that is the thing that kind of breaks the magic a little bit for me because you're right. Like most of the action is on one or two screens,
mhm,
thankfully, because if it was really like four completely like you had to pay attention to everything, there was no way, and you couldn't hear everything because there was no way you were going to be able to decipher what was going on.
mhm.
And so, I mean, kudos to Mike Figgis for being creative enough to put this together. It doesn't surprise me that something like this has not ever been done since. It's a shame in a way that more people
doesn't
didn't see it
doesn't
just
surprise
because,
me. Well, there were probably about 15,000 student films that did this exact same thing, like in like the next like 5 years after that. But B, I mean, this thing, like I said, it capped out at 130 movie theaters, which is not a lot because they weren't like big like AMC movie theaters. They were all places with like 20 seats. So it lost a truckload of money for good old Sony Pictures. So like that's the thing with experimental film, like very rarely is anything going to get. And you talked about like Blair Witch and how much money it made. How much did Blair Witch cost to get made? Not $5 million
$30,000.
dollars. Yeah, right.
It's like
Like
30
like
grand.
I could go bankroll that. Like I could go like scrape up enough money to do that. From an investor, I wouldn't need $5 million to make it. It's similar to like Kevin Smith, right? Did Clerks for like $20,000 or whatever. Like he put it
Hmm.
on like all these credit cards and got it made, and then it made a truckload of money. So then when he went to make Mallrats, the movie studio was like, "Well, here you need like $8 million to make it," and he's like, "I absolutely don't need $8 million to make it, but they're going to make me spend it all anyways." So then you run into that trap, and I don't know if like that was part of it, or he just had some sway because of the Oscar thing, or if he was under contract with Sony. Like how the $5 million, because that part of it doesn't make any sense to me. Um, to this, right? Like had it cost $1 million to make, like that would track, right? Like it's kind of like a break even kind of thing. It's just be like it's art for art's sake. That's totally fine. So um I don't know. Like I don't really know like that much else to say about it. It would be interesting, like if you did something, along these lines of like, the multiple cameras that are running the whole time, but you had like one or two people in the cast that had like a true like script and story to follow along, and everyone else is just kind of reacting to that, like coming in cold to it. Like that would be more interesting, I think, because then there would be some sort of like story to follow along with, as
Hmm.
opposed to this where like I said, I think there were just like lulls in the story when like either nothing was happening or like the dialogue was like so far off the mark of what like the story needed to eventually be, or whatever the case was. So
Yeah. I mean, it is a wonder how they choreograph some of the violent pieces. So,
mm.
or even some of the sexual pieces, right? Like, how did they do that um, in a way that was like safe and
It was
also
2000, they did not.
no, well, I mean safe in kind of a different way probably than it would be considered to stay safe now. But like, how do they do that where, they're not gonna shoot parts of people's bodies that they're not allowed to because of contracts or whatever? And did they say, okay, y'all need to be fighting like Gene Triplehorn, you need to beat the crap out of Selma Hayek for, 14 seconds exactly, and we're
Mm.
gonna put her here so we can't actually see you hit her because that would be assault. That kind of thing. I don't know. It was interesting. I'll say it was interesting. Is it great? No. And did I know it was not going to be great? I was pretty sure it wasn't going to be great because Brian knows great movies and he'd never heard of it. And to be fair, no one ever I'd talked to since 2000 and maybe three had ever heard of Timecode. So maybe not. But it was interesting. It was something that really inspired me in movies, and I think that that's something.
Yeah.
It became part
Yeah,
of me,
it became part of you. And
whatever
on its
that's
own
worth.
merits, like I said, as an experimental film, like it's fine. I would have preferred it to have been much shorter. I mean, it's only 97 minutes, but like I said, I think that it would have made like a really compelling like short film,
Yeah,
somewhere in like the 10 to 20 minute kind of thing, because that would have conveyed everything that the film intended to have told. But you don't get $5 million for a short film at the end of the day. So I don't know.
you
There
know.
you go. So I don't know. Any parting thoughts here about Time Code? Not Time Cop. Which was sad to me. That's what I was really hoping for. Time Cop made $44 million, so there you go, Jean-Claude Van Damme, a banger right there. So
Yeah,
hour and
no.
39 minutes, you get 2 extra minutes. What a
You get two
time to be
extra minutes.
alive.
Woohoo. No, I mean, if I were to say just finishing out, I would say you don't necessarily need to see this film, but you should make the cocktail that I made. That it probably has been made 1,000 times before by somebody. But it's delicious. That was a banger.
It
Movie
was good.
not so much. Movie not so
Yeah.
much. But yeah, yeah.
Fourth Wall cocktail's good. There's probably like you could probably find like clips of this on YouTube if you just wanted to get like a feel of like what the movie is, or you could probably watch. I assume there's a trailer for it, I guess, out there. I didn't really look, but I would assume that there is. If you just wanted to kind of get like a flavor of what like watching four simultaneous like moving pictures is like, it's not as disorienting as I thought it might be going into it. To be honest, it felt more like connected that way. But yeah, just
Mm.
like the audio presentation kind of threw me off. Didn't love that. So that is time code. So let us know if you've ever seen time code. Let us know that you definitely have not ever seen time code or heard of it. Let us know if you have any sort of other like weird avant-garde experimental films we should check out. Let us know any of that stuff, and let us know if you mix up a fourth wall. You can do that on any of our social medias. We're at Drink the Movies on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and Facebook.com/Drink the Movies. If you want to see pictures of the cocktail we made, episode recaps, links to all the things, Patreon, all that stuff, that can be found on our website. It's www.drinkthemovies.com. Go there, drop us a line, let us know if you have a good movie we haven't covered or a good cocktail. Let us know. We'd love to do a little bit more like fan request type things. That would be fun. That would be fun. As we've 283 of these. Michaela's getting tired of picking movies, I think is
I
what
just
we're
got a
down to.
request for
She's
Time
like,
Cop, so we'll add
she's
that to
like,
the list.
she's oh hell yeah, there you go. She's like she's like, I'm gonna put time code on there, and then Brian will stop asking me to pick movies. So yeah, let us do that. Let us do that. And go check out Patreon. It's patreon.com/drink the movies. We got bonus episodes over there, a lot of fun stuff, hangouts, cocktail chats, all sorts of stuff. We're gonna be doing the end of Oak Street. That was a pretty fun movie. So we're gonna be talking about that over there here for this month. So check that out. Michaela, we do a lobby bar. We do a full blown movie and cocktail every week. People need to be following along as we're going in. We're going to be getting into Oscar season soon. That's scary, but where can people find us? No Oscar noms for time code. On a side note,
No, no Oscar noms. Yeah. If you didn't catch that, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. You can find us on Good Pods, anywhere where Spotify podcasts are supported and distributed. As you said, Brian, we do 2 drops a week. So if you want to learn all about what's going on in the box office and learn about a really easy cocktail, that is our lobby bar that happens usually on Mondays. And then we do our deep dives, like the one you listen to right now. Usually we like the movie better, but we do it nevertheless. And if you're interested in video games at all, you should really go check out Drink the Video Games because Brian does a great job. I pop in for a cocktail. It's a really good time. Yeah. Like us, leave us 5-star reviews if you're liking what you're hearing, because it really helps us bring all the Drink the Movies, Drink the Video Games stuff out there.
absolutely. So that's going to wrap it up here for episode 283, Time Code. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next time on Q Saxophone, Q
Drink.
Saxophone, Saxophone, Saxophone
Drink.
again. Oh, drink the movies.
The movies. It was not nearly as hot as I remember it being, that scene.
Yeah,
It was actually, I was really kind of grossed out
it's
at myself. It
awkward
was like,
and
Michaela, what were you
uncomfortable.
thinking? Why was that?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I love Selma Hayek. I think she's amazing. But no,
Everyone loves Selma Hayek. It's very clear. Everyone in the movie was like
everyone in the movie was wanting to be with her.
shooting my shot. Selma Hayek today.